Hey gang, Schlocktoberfest can't keep its hands off the controller with a review of Stay Alive. The movie starts off with a guy named Loomis Crowley who's playing the video game Stay Alive, and well, the game kind of spooks him out a little bit when he sees that his character in the game dies by hanging. So he goes to check up on his roommates, and they're having sex, and they tell him to pretty much get out or watch, and I would have gotten out of there, to be honest with you. All of a sudden, something's in the house following him around. He gets freaked out. He goes to check on his roommates. His roommates both dead, and he winds up dying in real life like he did in the game. So the next day, Hutch is talking to his boss, Miller, when he finds out about Loomis being dead. So what do? Well, they go to Loomis's funeral, and Hutch meets a woman named Abigail, who is not much of a gamer. So they all decide to play the game online, and of course the game freaks them out a little bit. They all make their own avatars, their own characters, the whole 9 yards. And they kind of think, boy, that was pretty spooky, it was pretty weird. And the Hutch's boss plays the game too. And after they play the game, Hutch's boss is killed off. So, yeah, pretty much the movie becomes what it says right there. You die in the game, you die for real. October, who I believe is supposed to be Hutch's sister, researches on Elizabeth Bathory, who is the main character of the game and the inspiration for the game. Finds out all kinds of things about her. And Phineas decides to play the game all by himself, which was a mistake, because in the game he gets run over by a horse-drawn carriage, and then later on it happens to him in real life. But the game was paused, and somehow the game gets unpaused, and his real-life death happens. Yeah, I don't know either. A detective named King decides to play the game because he's a former gamer, and his character's head gets ripped apart by a trap in a chair. And then he gets in his car after he goes to visit a video game store to find out if he can find the game's not available. So he gets in his car. What happens? Some sort of trap wraps around him in his own car seat and rips his head apart. So this kind of thing keeps going on and on and on and on and on until eventually, October winds up getting killed off, and the game decides it wants to play its own game, I guess, by doing whatever it wants to do, going into real life and just killing off people and all kinds of things, no matter if they live or die. So it's down to Hutch, Abigail, and Malcolm in the middle, and they wind up defeating her. It looked like at one point Malcolm gets covered by roses and dies because he wasn't supposed to, because he didn't really die in the game, but Elizabeth decided to try and turn the tables on him. So it was pretty much down to Hutch, and Abigail to defeat Elizabeth, in which they do what they were supposed to do, and that is stick 3 nails into her. And apparently Elizabeth is not a big fan of mirrors because she sees a reflection in the back of Hutch's laptop, which is silver, and yeah, freaks her out. She winds up burning in the house she's in, and yeah, roses, they somehow seem to keep you alive in the game too, so figure that part out. Maybe that explains why Malcolm wound up living. So sometime later, the Stay Alive game hits the video game shelves, and one of the workers decides to play it, and everything goes pretty much back to what it was. And as you would expect, Elizabeth Bathory is still alive. So why did this movie suck? Starts off with a jump scare, and has one of the lamest jump scares of all time when Malcolm pops up in a keyhole. That was pretty stupid. Of course, the way he looked was pretty stupid too. He's wearing a visor backwards and upside down and to the side. Come on, seriously, that's pretty lame. Not a lot of explanations, not a lot of sense in this movie or intelligence, and you kind of sit there and think to yourself, man, they could really do a lot of different things, but no, they decided to do what they always do in horror movies, the wrong thing. And I think the biggest problem with this movie is it reminded me of 2 other movies. I thought this movie was more of a combination of Nightmare on Elm Street and Final Destination. Because, you know, again, like it says there, you die in the game, you die for real. And of course, Nightmare on Elm Street, if you died in your sleep, you died for real. And Final Destination had premonitions of how you were going to die, and it's pretty much in this movie too. They show you how you're going to die in the game and in real life, and yeah. But the whole Detective King getting killed off in his own car by some sort of a trap wrapped around his head by the head seat part of his seat, that made no friggin' sense. And this whole movie makes no friggin' sense. It's pretty dumb. It's pretty dumb. It's pretty lame. It's pretty dumb. I almost said dame. I don't know why, but there you guys have it. A review of Stay Alive. And Schlocktoberfest will keep its fingers on the button until Halloween. And if you like my videos, feel free to subscribe. If you have a horror, sci-fi horror, comedy horror, fantasy horror movie that, well, you got addicted to, and then you realize you shouldn't have played it in the first place, send it my way and I'll get on it ASAP. Thank you guys so very, very much for watching, and until tomorrow, as always, stay strong and rock on.